Welcome back to another episode of Alive Partner TV. I am your host, Dr. Mario Torres-Leon, and I'm incredibly excited today because we continue our tradition of the special series called HPS, which stands for Human Power Series. If this is the first time that you come into our TV series, welcome to Alive Partner TV. And if you're not new to us, thank you for coming back and your generosity for being here with us and sharing this experience that we're going to have today. I'm extremely excited for a number of reasons as I have the privilege of interviewing this young man whose name is Jahid Jr. Wilson. And I am extremely excited because he falls into a different category of the people in our community. He's on the younger spectrum of things. Jahid is in his 20s currently, and he's an incredibly powerful young man, incredibly bright, incredibly connected. He's been privileged to have an amazing family. I happen to know both of his parents, who are also members of the Alive Partner community. But one of the things that really inspired me to invite him and honors me in his acceptance to join me today and accepting my invitation to feature him today is the fact that his entire family, including his significant other, were part of the latest cycle of the 28-day Gratitude Launchpad, what we call in short GL28. And we had people from all over the world, close to 200 people who participated in this cycle of GL28. And one thing became very evident. The power of the Wilson family came across every single day in the activities that we were all partaking in. But not only that, he basically took it upon himself to go into depths of his person, of his beingness, or who he is, and share that in such an open, vulnerable, and raw way with all of us. And what started to happen, very much like his other family members, was that it started to give license to people from all over the world, from all sorts of different backgrounds, to follow suit and to be inspired, not just by what his family was doing, but particularly the way and the profound nature of his shares as we went through that cycle of GL28. I also want him to speak a little bit about what his professional journey is, because I am very much inspired by what he's doing and what really moves him, what his life purpose is, and how he actually wants to change the world through the work that he's inspired to do and he is following his heart to do as we conduct this interview. So, Jahid Jr., I want to extend to you the warmest of welcomes to Alive Partner TV and to this special edition of the Human Power Series. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mario. My heart feels so incredibly full and open with that beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor. It is a pleasure, and I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thanks for your generosity, Jahid. Jahid, tell us a little bit about your background and where were you? What was happening in your life as you came across our community? Granted, your parents had been already involved with us and they had their own particular transformational journeys. Your mom, as I see her, she is a significant leader in your household in terms of being a seeker, in terms of looking into other practitioners, other people who have very inspired work. One of the people that comes to mind is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And she was really the love magnet, if you will, in the family, so that we could have the honor of welcoming the rest of you. So tell us a little bit about that. What was happening, and how did that all unfold for you?
Yeah, not a problem. So the past, I want to say 10 months, we had a lot happen. My excuse me, my mother's mother, who had been living with us for almost 4 years at that point, her dementia had progressed and we had to move her into an inpatient facility. And then the next day, on Father's Day, my father's father passed away. And a couple months later, my father was let go from his job after over 15 years of service. And we were in a very weird transitory space kind of as a family. There was a lot of uncertainty. And I know my father was getting a little stir crazy. He hasn't not worked since I was one, I think, one or two, and I'm 24, so it's been a long time for him. And at the time, I'm not sure how she came across it, but I heard my mother mentioning GL28, and I didn't know what that was. And I was like, okay, that's cute. I don't know what that is, but all right. And she'd mentioned it as a gratitude experience. And again, it was something where I think the seed was kind of being planted, but I wasn't in the space for me to explore it just yet. So I think it was October, October or November. My father did it with her. And for my dad to do something like that, he at the time was, for lack of better language, not spiritually predisposed, I'll say. So like no meditation practices or like mindful practices, anything like that. And so he'd started journaling and meditating. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go through this. And they did the first 28 days together, and he's the one who came and told me I should try it. And
Hmm.
for him to come tell me I should try something, I was like, okay, if this did something for him, not to say that there's no power or value in it if my mom tells me the same thing, but she's been doing this work for decades. If he's saying this is powerful and he's new to this, then that means something. So I'm going to check it out. So I decided I'm going to give it a try. I asked my girlfriend if she wants to do it with me. She's like, yeah, I'm down. So I'm like, okay, cool. I buy the book for her, and we started together, and it was challenging. We didn't do like within the GO28. We just did the I'm forgetting the name of the book.
The magic.
Yeah, the magic. There we go.
Yes.
We just did the magic and did the 28 days together. And those practices really forced me to reflect, because so much of my life prior to that point, because I've always wanted to be a writer, an author. That is, I know I was put on this earth to write, to tell stories. I know that is my mission. And for a large part of my life, I was always told you'll never make money doing that. You'll be broke. Even in past relationships, I was told that. So much of my self-worth was tied into money. What can I produce? So I was never grateful, because it's like, what do I have to be grateful for? There's no money. And then I'm doing this gratitude course, and I'm realizing money doesn't matter if you're not healthy enough to spend it. Money can't bring back your loved ones if you lose them. Money can't buy you time. So I'm going through it, and it's like there's little prompts, and it's like, think about all the people who, you know, put in the piping so that you can have clean water, or who designed the infrastructure for your house, and like the air that you breathe, or the fact that you can walk on two legs. And there's so many little things to just kind of take stock and be grateful for. And I just realized I was a grateful person in a very shallow, surface level kind of sense. Like if you gave me something, I said thank you. If you held the door open for me, I said thank you. Before I ate, I said occasionally, not always, I would say thank you. I I heard from Dr. Joe Dispenza, of course, that gratitude is the state of receivership, and you are supposed to express gratitude before something happens. I Gratitude is the cause, receiving is the effect. I did it backwards. I wanted the effect, I wanted the thing to be the reason why I expressed gratitude.
Hmm.
And I took stock of the fact that I had an uncle I remember who passed away when he was 50. Um, and his health was just so poor. I mean, he was 50 and he had to use a walker. And I was thinking about the fact that I have my health. I know so many people. One of my best friends has an autoimmune disorder. She has lupus. It's like I'm healthy. I can breathe on my own. I have these four walls and a ceiling that I wake up to. I have clothes to eat. I have clothes to wear, food to eat, water to drink. And even though this isn't very common in the Western world, I'm mid 20s and living with my family, planning to grow and expand with my family. And that's not really a thing that's common out here. So I'm grateful I have a family I can do that with. Not everyone does. So the more I just realized I have all these things to be grateful for. And even the things that challenge me, those are lessons. And I have to be grateful for them because one of the basic tenets of the human experience is a lesson will be repeated until it's learned. So I'm being put in these positions where I'm getting the same kind types of lessons. Well, dude, that just means you're not learning. So that means I need to do better, be better, take stock and change and be grateful for the opportunity to keep trying. Because if you don't get the same lessons anymore, that just means the universe has given up on you. And that's never happened to me. So just going through the initial 28 days with just the magic was powerful, was his own thing. And then we did GO 28 with everyone with the actual community. And that was different because then it was sharing your experiences on the camera and other people would see your responses. And that wasn't hard for me to do. Just because I've been a content creator for like a large one as well for 4.5 years now. So kind of like getting in front of a camera and talking wasn't difficult. Um, I will say sometimes I turn my notifications off after I posted because I was like, I don't want to know if anybody comments. Um, but I got over that fairly quickly, and it was I don't know if validating doesn't feel like the right word, but it was more humanizing to be around other people who were going through the same journey as I am, and to see my father's posts and my mother's posts and Kayla's posts and then Rieko's posts and then other people's posts, and to just see that we're all on this journey together. And that this is where the magic happens, the power of just being grateful and having community, because I think that's something my family and I have always kind of struggled with. If we've never found our people anywhere, our tribe. So this was a soul tribe. Being a part of G20, GL28 felt like a soul tribe. And as soon as I finished, I had a list of my friends who I knew I could say, "Hey, you should do this," and they would do it because I want to tell this to all my friends that I have, but I just know some of them won't be receptive to it, and that's okay. Um, but overall, I can understand why you were on your, what is it, 46th cycle now?
Right now, I'm on my 45th cycle.
45th. Yeah, I understand why you are now on cycle 45. This I can't call this a practice because it feels like a way of life now. It's
Hmm.
it's like breathing, you know, it's
It is.
breathing isn't something you think about, you just do. And I'm truly grateful to have been given the opportunity to be a part of this community and in this space.
You know, Jahid, something that you're saying, which is really worth uh, going a little deeper into, is this aspect of I've been asked before, hey, if you're going to be using the magic, which initially was the inspiration years back to allow this evolution of what has become the GL28 program inside of my Alive Partner community, people would ask, is this just kind of like rehashing the book? And I would always appreciate the question. And my answer unequivocally, and continues to be to this day, is that it is not. This is a complete evolution of the work, and it has been deeply personalized and customized to cater to the needs of the community that comes in for every single cycle. Can you speak to those distinctions? Because clearly there are many of them. And I have people that, after going through the cycle of a cycle or multiple cycles of GL28, they've come back and given me feedback and said, this was completely different. I really had very little result from just reading a book. But what happened here in the community and the way that this unfolded for me just completely changed my life.
I feel like the best way I can correlate it in my brain is kind of like the difference between an undergraduate versus a master's program.
Mm,
Um, and like the magic, not to take away from what the magic is, but it feels almost like an introductory course a little bit. Get your feet wet. And then you go into GO 28, and this is deep end. You either swim or you're gonna learn how, right? And I just think it's the best way I can describe it is that it is intimate in a way that the magic isn't, in that we're asked to deeper go deeper within in ways that do make us very uncomfortable with expressing vulnerability and being honest, and to really just have to sit with ourselves. And that's can be the really difficult part. And the community aspect, I think, is what makes it a whole other world of its own, because it's safer to journal about how you feel and no one else except you is going to see it. But when you have to share that with people you do not know, who are going to receive it and respond to it and hold space for it, that is an entirely different level of being seen and healing. So I think that's the key difference with GL28. GL28 will make you feel exposed and seen, but in the best way. Like
Mm,
not in a way where you feel made fun of or there's like you did something wrong, but it's you will go into this and you will leave it knowing yourself.
mhm.
And
That's a
that's
great way to put it. In our community, in the different cycles, we've had people on the younger end of the spectrum in their low 20s and, going as high as to being in the 80s. So it's a really big range. It's such an honor to have that in our community. By virtue of your age, you and being a millennial, you have you pretty much were born into an era in human development where social media and utilizing a bunch of different platforms, whether it's on a mobile device, on a computer, is it's pretty much quote unquote normal. It's just a given. Many other people who are part of a community, me included, did not. We were not born into that time. We've pretty much been adopting as we have been going and aging and going through different phases of our lives. And one of the things that becomes pretty evident in the process, especially for those who don't have the benefit of having been born like you were into this era, is the sense of not feeling safe enough because of social media and how much we hear about violation of our privacy and sensitive information. And one of the things that have been extremely important for me being a physician is this aspect of confidentiality and the aspect of creating a safe space for people to have a healing process, a healing journey. And it's been a work in progress, and there has been an evolution in how we do things in our community to be able to create such containers, to create such experiences where true healing, transformation, miracles, as you got to witness, Jahid Jr., in this cycle of GL28 that you participated uh, in, we were able to all witness. Can you speak to how that was for you? Because as some people may be listening to this gathering of ours here today, they may be wondering, I have a lot of things that I would like to transcend, that I would like to address, that I would like to get support for and with. And yet, will I be able to be in a place where truly I get to experience that? Can you speak to those people that have not been part of our community and gone through some of these transformational experiences that we provide?
absolutely. GL28 it is safe. I think that's the most important thing to just come out the gate and say it. It is safe. And just if you are listening, Dr. Mario did not hit me up before this and say, hey, can you say it's safe before we get on here? No, that is my experience. The people are beautiful, genuine, loving, and kind. And as you mentioned, it's a wide age range from the early 20s to the late 80s. So there are plenty of folks who are learning for the first time how to get on camera and be comfortable with speaking, because that is not something that comes easily to everyone and anyone. I want to hold space for that. And I will say, don't let that fear deter you from joining this beautiful community. Meet yourself where you're at, right? Being a part of GO28 doesn't mean you have to post videos. Some people just do regular posts and it's just text. If that is where you are right now, that is completely okay. There is no pressure to show
Mm,
up in a way you're not ready for. So I think it is, and everyone is so respectful and so kind. There's no drama, there's no negative energy. It's peaceful. it's peaceful, and the energy there is one where I feel like every version of me is safe there.
Mm.
Little me, current me, past me, the versions of me I haven't experienced or stepped into yet, it's safe. So meet yourself where you're at. There's no rush. This is your journey, and we're here to support you through every step of the way, no matter what that looks like or how long it takes.
Jade, thank you for sharing that. When you came into the community to do GL28, there were certain things happening in your life in terms of your professional development and part of the journey, things that were very important for you, particularly around the subject of being an aspiring, recognized author,
Yeah,
uh, which I have zero doubt in my heart that that is just exactly how it's going to continue to unfold for you, because we know that there are certain things that were happening for you during that process, during that period of time, moving in that direction, which were really powerful. But there's also the component, and we have all had challenges of this nature in our journey when it comes to health related matters and so on. And very often when people come into experiences like this, particularly because they're virtual, there is this skepticism in the back of our minds, in our experience, in our awareness that, well, I'm going to give this a try and see what happens. But one of the things that was really remarkable, and perhaps in part because your family is one, especially as your mom has imparted that upon everybody and every member in terms of being open to other things that are really powerful and possible. We mentioned, for example, Jill Dispenza's work. I know she's been involved in the Dr. Kim Duramo community, for example, in the American Institute of Mind Body Medicine and so on, and other practitioners. But you embrace the journey, perhaps in part because of that, in part because of your awareness and your spiritual inclination and your desire to be a healthy human being. Can you speak to some of the things that happen inside of the journey that you experience? I know that I witnessed some of them, but I don't want to be the one speaking about them and really take that away from you. Can you share in your generous way about some of those things in the journey inside of GL28 that truly, from day one to day 28, were remarkable? Because there were multiple instances that you were really the protagonist of such moments.
I think the one that sticks out to me the most is that I got sick. It was for like 2 days, but this happened within GO28, but it also was a result of me not listening. I have always known how the universe speaks to me. It speaks to me through other people. I've always known that. And I was getting signs from my mother, my girlfriend, my father, my manager, like so many people, um, who were like, Jahid, you need to rest. And I was like, nah. And I didn't, and I was forced to rest. And it was deeply uncomfortable, because it wasn't regular rest. Because regular rest, I could have shrugged that off. And this was the achy, bones hurt, can't move, kind of just fatigue that makes you're forced to be still because you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
While I was kind of just in that, at first I apologized for not listening, and then I held space for gratitude. And something my mother taught me that I would always say when I get sick, she taught me and my sister is, God is my health. I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing quick. Um, so I would say that, and then I stopped and I just started thinking about things I could be grateful for. Like like anything that comes to mind, like, hey, we have a two-story house. I'm grateful I didn't slip going down the stairs because I was wearing socks. Anything that came to mind, I'm grateful for this. And there was a point where I looked at Kayla and I just started crying. And I was like, I'm so grateful for you. I love you so much. And it just, my heart was so full. And quite literally, I went to bed that night and I just asked my team, I was like, I'm grateful. Can you please heal me? And then I felt it happening, like I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I just felt better. And then when I woke up that morning for good, I was okay. I was just better. And I was like, thank you. Um, One of the other things that happened was I signed the contract for a book deal with, an imprint of Simon and Schuster, who is a big five publisher. And that has been an an incredibly long 4 year journey as of next month. Over 100 rejections, so many rewrites, but I would not have done anything differently. And it happened so strangely as well because this was also, yeah, during this iteration of Geo 28, I followed like instruction. And part of the instruction was you need to talk about your book. And I never liked to talk about my book online because I didn't know how to talk about it without selling it. And it was just, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say I need a cover artist, right? And so I read the synopsis for the book and I posted about it on my social media pages, and my editor saw it. My now editor saw it. That's how he found me. He saw it, sent me a DM, then we did email correspondence, and just like that, we had a book deal. And I think one of the interesting things about it is it's audio only. And back when Kayla and I were long distance, I read my entire book to her out loud. Like when we were over the phone, I read it to her. And I didn't realize the power in the story, and maybe that's why it's audio first. So I was deeply grateful. Um, both my parents cried, so that was great. So did Kayla, it was awesome. My sister was just like, "That's cool, bro." I was like, "Thanks, man." Because it's been a long time. I'm incredibly grateful. And I signed the contract during the Geo 28. I got an opportunity to help another company called Sunny Boy Entertainment. They're a production company. On they worked on movies like Aquaman 2 and like, the upcoming Superman. And they're also a group of authors. And so they kind of enlisted me to help with their social media promotion. Because on just to like kind of throw my numbers out there. Like on Instagram, I talk about bookish and writing stuff, close to 40,000 on there, and then on TikTok, almost 220,000. So like it's been my thing. So they hired me to work with them, and then Amazon also followed back up with me to work out with them for a product, and Amazon pays a lot of money because they're Amazon. So it just kind of all came at once. And I was frustrated because again, impatience and lack of gratitude, and that my thing is I when I want to be paid, I want to be paid like right now, today. Like let's get going. But that's not how it works. I just had to be reminded to have faith and all things are working out in my favor. And sometimes things are delayed because the time you spend waiting for something to come is time you could be spending waiting for what you already have and what's already here. And that's not something that I was doing. So, for example, it's not cold anymore and the sun is out. What greater gift is there than that? To be outside and enjoy the warmth. So, that was just a reminder that as a creative person, especially, I can't be an observer of life, but a participant of it.
Incredible, incredible, super powerful insight that you just share with everybody. If you're joining us right now, you're watching another episode of A Life Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres-Leon in our special series, the Human Power series, with my amazing, amazing millennial guest, Mr. Jahid Wilson Jr. And the things that he had been sharing are incredibly insightful, going from healing journeys to being in this family that had a very, very interesting, if not to say accidented year, if you will, if we can call those things accidents, synchronicities in their lives, that really dramatically shifted the dynamics of the family, to his own healing journey, to his own professional journey, and arriving and being in this cycle, and suddenly all these deals starting to happen and things starting to come together despite a prolonged, in the eyes of some perhaps, period of time of quote unquote nothing happening, but everything happening in the background, and then suddenly things starting to pop up. Jade is really remarkable to really witness your embracing of your life to this degree in such a short time. One of the things that I mention often in my community is that change can and does happen in an instant. Contrary to conventional wisdom, when we hear many people say people don't change, things don't change. And obviously, there's plenty of evidence to the contrary. What people experience in the community and in our experiential programs is clearly more fuel to that fire. And clearly, what has happened to you too, and happened to you inside of that cycle, as you've been sharing in such a generous way, is evidence to that. Now, one of the things that is commonly also stated is when people go through experiences like this one, that, oh, everything is fine and dandy and it's great and, vanilla sky when I'm doing the program, but then the program is done and then suddenly I forget all of these things. My experience continues to be that community members who've actually gone through this kind of experiences, particularly GL28, they actually don't experience that. Is even though they may not be continuing another cycle, which I always invite everybody to do it because the exponential results are amazing. But the feedback is, Mario, this continues to change my life on a daily basis, and more continues to come in. I had not seen you in multiple weeks after the celebratory meeting that we had, our last call in that cycle of GL28. So I'm curious to hear from you what has happened in your life that you can attribute, associate, relate to those experiences that you lived inside of the 28-day gratitude launchpad.
First, I want to say I apologize. I need to go join the new platform that was created. Everything happened with the cover design. I got so caught up in that right away. So that's on me. I got a little lost in the sauce, so to speak. But in my brain, so I'm a martial artist. I like to relate things to martial arts. It helps me like think. Um, if you drill a move enough times, it becomes muscle memory. And same thing, I think, with something like GL28 and with gratitude. If you do it enough times, you don't have to think about it. It takes what Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think he says it takes 90 days for something to become a new habit. So you have to give the thing a time to become muscle memory and to be recorded in the body. And you also have to hold space that in order for new programming to set in, old programming has to be unlearned. So 30 days is a lot of time, or 28 days is a lot of time for change to happen, but you can't go into the 28 days expecting everything to be magically cured and you never have to do anything else again. That's not how it works. You have to continue to show up in whatever capacity you're able. If you're, for example, when I was feeling out of it this past weekend, I couldn't get up. I did my gratitude out loud. I made sure I didn't miss it. I didn't have the energy to get up and write it, so I spoke it, right? Whatever capacity you can show up, do that. So in these past few weeks, I've been feeling a strange sense of calmness. Like it's been internally quiet. I think that's the best way I can put it. Like when things come up that would have normally stressed me out, I just I kind of speak into my brain in like the most authoritative mental voice I can conjure. And I was like, I will be fine. The universe will take care of me. And I just let it dissipate. Or if I catch myself in kind of that mental spiral where you start thinking about one thing and oh, there's 90,000 other things you can think about, it's gonna be grateful about right now. Like, like I can breathe, it's warm. This water is really cool. I find something to be grateful for, and it's just brought me so much peace. And it wasn't until talking about it right now that I realized how unstressed out I've been for the first time in a very long time because I'm very much my father's child in that sense of that, my brain is always thinking about, things we got to do, people take care of, all always going, 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 going. And it's just been still. And I have been allowing myself to do something that I didn't do a very good job of before, which is I let myself be 24.
Mm.
Like I I I got a reading once from a woman a few years ago, and she told me you were wise, but remember to be young. And
Mm,
that is not something I can say I did a good job of. And sometimes being young is I'm just I'm going to read a book, and I'm just because a lot of the times as a writer, I read intentionally. When I read, I'm studying like what is this author doing that I'm liking? How is the execution of craft? Or I like to read either spirituality books or books on history. Um, because the real world informs the worlds I like to create. But sometimes it's just this I enjoy this. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna go walk the dog. I'm gonna watch a cartoon that little me loved from 2012. Just little things like that. I have to I've been reminding myself that like rest is its own form of resistance, and that because of colonization and generational trauma, for me, I've always felt guilty for being still. And I have to remind myself that my ancestors did enough rest for me or enough working for me, right? They did enough. I give myself permission to just
mm,
and within this stillness, I feel things coming. I don't know what they are, but I know they're on their way. And for whatever it is, I'm grateful for it, I'm open to it, and I'm ready to receive it.
good for you. Really, really powerful. Tremendous, tremendous awareness of listening to that inner awareness, inner voice, of finding that stillness and honoring it because it's you're being informed. You know, Jahid, one of the radical departures inside of GL28 relative to any work that I've ever done or presented before, which you got to experience firsthandly, which is extremely unusual for a man of your age and extremely unusual for men who are of older age than you are, because it's not something we're taught as men. Not because I'm blaming our fathers or grandfathers, we just have not known how to do it. Is the aspect of the feeling body. And it's a significant cornerstone inside of the work that I do in the Alive Partner community. Clearly, one of the cornerstones of GL28 and the premise of GL28 of gratitude plus feeling equals healing. And I like to say that when I speak about healing, it's not that somebody has some sort of medical illness or there's some emotional illness. I really, in the bigger scheme of how we use the language, transformation, change, breakthroughs, things that we want to go to higher levels or deeper levels with. And you were introduced in the GL28 cycle to the concept of the soul map or the feelings slash emotional body map. And that is obviously counterintuitive to most because they don't know it, but it's something that is essential to the work that we do. Can you speak to somebody who hasn't had that experience of how starting to feel the way that we do it inside of the community brought new awarenesses to your changes in your life that now you can relate to them on a regular basis in normal life? You don't have to be somebody sitting in an ashram or a yogi to actually be able to experience the benefits of such practice and such teachings. Can you actually shed some light onto that?
Absolutely. So I will say for myself, I need to go deeper to explore this. There was for me some resistance to the soul map. I don't know why, but it's something I know I need to explore further and interrogate because resistance is just information that I need to go and understand and unpack. Um, but the soul map, for those who don't understand, is like a printout of the human body. And when you feel an emotion, you point to where you feel it, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, where does anger feel in your body? Where does sadness, hope, joy, fear? Where do these things feel? Because oftentimes I think when you know where the emotion lives, it's easy to recognize it when it comes. For me, when I feel anger or anything anger adjacent, I feel it in the center of my chest. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
fist squeezing my lungs and I can't breathe. So now when I feel that, I know exactly what it is and how to kind of address it and deal with it. Or when I feel So it can kind of be the same thing. When I feel anxious or when I feel like my intuition is telling me, I feel it in the pit of my stomach. It's like butterflies in my stomach. It's this unsettled feeling like when you're about to go on a drop on a roller coaster. That's information and that's letting me know we need to explore this. And when it comes to certain emotions, sometimes emotions only exist to be acknowledged. Not everyone demands a response or reaction. Sometimes they just want to know, hey, you see me, you feel me, you recognize me. That's all I want. And I know as men, that's difficult because men are traditionally taught that their range of emotions is limited to anger and pride. That's pretty much it. Um, and like a lot of boys are unfortunately taught early on that boys don't cry, which is such a harmful and psychologically damaging message. Because then we're raising these emotionally stunted boys who turn into emotionally stunted men who turn into destructive men, right? So I think for men, especially before we even get into acknowledging these emotions and breathing through them, it's important to know that in this space and outside of this space, you're safe to feel whatever that looks like, however it shows up. You are just safe to feel what you need to feel. If that means you got to scream, if you got to cry, if you got to go on a walk, a run, take that energy, channel it, do what you need to do, right? It's okay. It is safe. It is it's necessary to feel. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you're not allowed to experience human emotions, right? So especially for my especially for the younger men in my generation who might get caught up in some of this kind of Andrew Tate alpha male-esque mindsets, not knowing how to process your emotions healthily is
Mm.
never a flex and will never be a flex. That's not something to be proud of. And if you don't know how to process your emotions, and that's not something to be ashamed of either. You can't bully yourself or be frustrated or berate yourself for not knowing how to do something you were never taught, right? But when the time does come and you're ready to do that, learning to recognize where you feel certain things in the body is a great place to start. And the soul map is a fantastic tool in that process.
Thank you for saying that and really linking this, Jahid Jr., to the experience of being men, to the experience of the chain that occurs when a boy is taught certain things and then that becomes a young man and then an older man and then the patterns that come out of that and the destruction and the abuse that comes from that, which if we had had different tools, I know from what I see in the transformation that I see in the men that I work with and the couples that I get to work with, how that completely changes the experience of that man. Jaid, people ask me sometimes, who is this work for? And I would like to get your wisdom and share it with our audience as to who is this work for in your experience?
This works for everyone who is willing to let it work for them, right? We can take you to the water, but we can't make you drink. And your openness to being uncomfortable, to being vulnerable, to exploring yourself in ways you haven't before. This journey is it will look different for everyone, but its effectiveness is entirely predicated on your willingness to show up and to commit to it. And I want to make a distinction. It's not about discipline, it's about devotion. Those don't mean the same thing. So devotional in like the devotional sense, this works when you almost treat it like a prayer, like medicine, not something you have to do, but something you get to do, something that's necessary in grounding you and helping you prepare not only for the day, but to be the version of yourself that you want to be. So there's a saying that I enjoy, and it's when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So if this work is being presented to you in your life right now, this is a teacher. That means on some subconscious or conscious level, you are ready to receive. You are open to it. You are ready to step into the version of yourself that you've always been. You just need to remember how to be. So I think, no, I don't think. I know that this will work for every single person who allows it to work for them. But that's a
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's tremendously insightful and full of wisdom. We have been watching, you have been watching today this new episode of Alive Partner TV. I am your host, Dr. Mario Torres-Leon, and we have been celebrating another incredible episode in the Human Power series with my very, very special and inspiring young man, Mr. Jahid Wilson Jr. And Jahid has been sharing a lot of things about his life in a really generous and vulnerable way, and his trajectory in his professional endeavors, and how all of those things got intertwined with family life and ultimately with his journey inside of the GL28 or the 28-day gratitude launchpad. I always like to say at the end of every single episode that we offer for your viewing the following. If this has resonated with you, just like it and follow us so that we can continue to communicate with you and share the content and the tools that we share on a weekly basis. But more importantly than all of that is, if this has deeply resonated with you, because it's the experience through Jahid and not me, share it with other people that you love and care about in your life, because you may be the bridge, you may be the catalyst who's bringing change for somebody else, and you may be the one who is making a true difference in that person's life and making that person's life better. Jahid, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your generosity, for being so open, for being so sincere in this process as you have shared it with all of us in this episode. I absolutely have zero doubt that everything in your life will continue to expand, to open, that your professional endeavors are going to touch millions of people through your writings and the inspiration that is coming through you, through the awareness as you walk your talk every single day, and you continue to be receptive to new things to come in, to inspire you, to open you, to enhance you, to transform you. Thank you for being here with us. And I really can't wait to continue to hear from you inside of our community or otherwise about the amazing things that continue to happen for you. So thank you for being here with us and sharing yourself in such a beautiful and powerful way here in the Human Power Series and Alive Partner TV.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Mario. It's been a complete pleasure and honor for having me here. Thank you for holding this space and sharing this space with me. And thank you for creating the community that you've created and built. I am deeply grateful to you and all that you do.
Thank you so much. Until next time, have an amazing rest of your day. And I can't wait to see you on our next episode of Alive Partner TV. So long.